Fox 61 breaking news now.
We begin with that breaking news right now at 6. An Enfield neighborhood is under a shelter-in-place order right now after police say they found a World War II-era mortar round inside the home. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Annette Montgomery. Now, for those who don't know what that is, it's a teardrop-shaped explosive. Officers are currently establishing a perimeter around the Lake Drive home. And they tell us at this point, there's no immediate reason to expect that device will activate or detonate.
Now, police say they first went to the home to investigate a man who they say threatened violence toward workers at the new Amazon facility job site. They say he was unwilling to speak at first, but when they were led inside, that's when they found the mortar round. We will keep you updated on this developing story tonight.
And the only thing she was able to get was her cell phone, and that's it.
Now to our top story tonight. Dozens of families are forced out of their homes by fire, and a day later they return to the charred mess to salvage any essentials they could.
And tonight we now know the community is coming together and doing what they can to help those families impacted. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson shows us how neighbors are now answering the call.
In less than 24 hours, hundreds of dollars of help came pouring into the Groton community. Complete strangers reaching out to help those 47 families in need after Sunday's devastating apartment fire.
Just burned everything.
A fire left 47 families with next to nothing Sunday. The 3-alarm fire tore through the 135 building in the Ledges Apartments Homes complex.
Really just in shock.
And as the shock is setting in, the town is stepping up. Just hours after the fire started, the team at Groton Human Services put together a donation drive, and minutes later, aid was pouring in.
We've had an incredible response already. You know, we've only been open a few hours. It's barely lunchtime, but thankfully we've had a lot of folks come forward.
Kim Turek, Groton's Director of Human Services, said the town is collecting essential items like retail and grocery gift cards, canned goods, and household and toiletry items.
Some of the people are not going to be able to go back in. What I am hearing is there's quite a bit of water damage.
Lisa Carney, a social worker, spent Monday at the Ledges Clubhouse helping families find a new home, a major challenge here in Groton.
Housing's tough. There's not a lot.
A 2025 study from the town of Groton found that more than 6,000 new homes were needed to accommodate the local hiring boom from Electric Boat. And that lack of housing adds yet another hurdle to finding a new home.
This is going to be a long time.
Social workers with the town told us that the apartment complex has put those displaced families up in hotels, but have no set end date on that accommodation. If you're interested in donating, we have a link on our website at fox61.com with details on how you can help. In Groton, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
Well, the man acquitted of murder in the 2022 stabbing death of a 17-year-old go back to trial. Today, a judge heard arguments from the defense as to why Raul Valley should not be retried on the lesser charges in this case. A jury found Valley not guilty of murdering James Jimmy McGrath during a trial last summer. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules is outside of Milford Superior Court with more from the defense and new reaction from the victim's father.
The judge heard arguments from both the state and the defense on a possible retrial. During the defense's argument, the judge heavily questioned their motion to dismiss the case.
I'm hoping the hot bench what we call a hot bench, which was the questions that was peppered with me, is not an indication of where he's going.
Darnell Crossland, Raul Valley's defense attorney, faced many questions from the judge regarding his stance on a possible retrial. Crossland argued that the jury acquitted Valley last summer because they determined he was justified in stabbing 17-year-old James Jimmy McGrath and 3 others. However, Judge Kevin Russo questioned Crossland on how he can make such an assumption. Judge Russo said there's no way to know what the jury was thinking before the verdict was made. State's attorney Mark Durso argued that the jury in the original trial never got to discuss the issue of self-defense. Durso said that if the jury did find that Valley's actions were justified, he would have been acquitted of all charges, including the lesser offenses. In addition to the murder charge, the jury acquitted Valley of first-degree manslaughter, as well as the intentional assault of 2 other people at a Shelton house party in 2022. But jurors remained deadlocked on lesser charges, including reckless manslaughter and reckless assault counts. Valley's defense during the trial relied heavily on self-defense. Valley claims he was attacked by more than 10 people, and that's why he took out his pocket knife. The state recharged Valley with first-degree reckless manslaughter and several assault charges and ordered a retrial. Outside of the courtroom, Crossland disagreed with the state's argument.
I just didn't hear that the case law allowed them a pathway forward.
Crossland says if the judge rules in favor of the state, he is prepared to take the case to trial. However, he is willing to discuss a plea deal if need be.
If they say something that's reasonable, that could make both parties feel some sense of closure, I'm open for that.
Outside of the courthouse, Kevin McGrath, James McGrath's father, said he just wants Valley to take accountability for what happened.
Well, why don't you take responsibility and say, I did this, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a deal, I'm going to go to jail and do my time and move on. That's what we want.
Judge Russo will have 90 days to decide whether this case goes back to trial. However, he said he will likely make a decision in less than that time frame. In Milford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Alicia, thank you. Some homeowners in Rocky Hill say they are fed up with the parking situation on their street. They say high school students park their cars in the neighborhood, and it's causing a big disruption. Fox 61's Kayla Cade went to a recent town meeting about the problem to see what solutions are being considered.
This street is a public road, so students are legally allowed to park here. But parents say it makes it harder for services like the mail carrier to get around and do their job. Mountain View and Carroll Street are usually like this, empty and quiet. But from 7:15 a.m. to 3 p.m. on school days, it's filled with cars driven by Rocky Hill High School students.
There's 156 parking spots at the high school, and there's obviously more kids driving than the 156, and they're parking in the neighborhoods, upsetting the neighbors.
This issue was brought up to town leaders like Stephen Sopolak.
It came to light about a month and a half ago that there's a lot of kids parking on neighboring streets near the high school. Then there's 26 cars, and you have trash cans on the side of the road, and the trash truck can't reach them.
Many neighbors wrote letters to the town. One of them says the street cleaner was not able to clean their side of the street because of the parked cars. It also mentioned students speeding, yelling, and honking their horns. They suggested alternating student drivers each month so they can have a chance to park by the school, or even have parking at the middle school as an option. The Rocky Hill Police Department suggested making the street one-way.
Eastbound on Mountain View during the hours of drop-off, 7 to 8, and pick up 2 to 3, just to keep the flow of traffic going better.
Sopolak says they looked at other options as well to stop students from parking here.
We've looked at no parking signs 2 different ways, a permanent no parking sign, because then it's enforceable. So if somebody parks there, they can get ticketed. But the goal is to get them away from there to a different location, maybe one of our public parks, and walk from a different location.
Sopolak says he plans to have a public hearing with town officials, parents, fire, police, and the Board of Education. In Rocky Hill, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.
Today, a divided panel of federal appeal court judges ruled that a Pentagon policy illegally banned transgender troops from serving in the military. The majority opinion by 2 of the 3 judges upholds a ruling from last year by a U.S. district judge that says President Donald Trump's executive order likely violates their constitutional rights. The 2 judges agreed to leave in place a preliminary injunction that prevents the Defense Department from removing transgender troops named in the case who are currently in the military. But the ban remains in effect for any new service members.
Iran has suspended talks with the United States in protest of Israel's military action in Lebanon, according to Iranian state media. This comes after President Trump this weekend sent back changes to a proposed deal to extend an existing ceasefire. All the while, the 2 countries continue to trade strikes. Lee Waldman has the latest.
Iran has suspended talks with the United States in protest over Israel's strikes in Lebanon, semi-official Iranian state media has reported. The Iranian foreign minister posting on social media, a ceasefire between Iran and the United States constitutes without any ambiguity a comprehensive ceasefire across all fronts, including Lebanon. Any violation of the ceasefire on one front shall be considered a violation of it across all fronts.
I think Israel is very intent on making sure that diplomacy between Iran and the U.S. is not fruitful.
The Israeli prime minister instructed the Israeli military to strike a Lebanese suburb that is a Hezbollah stronghold. Those plans were coordinated with the U.S., an Israeli source told CNN. U.S. Central Command said Monday it had successfully intercepted 2 Iranian ballistic missiles targeting American forces based in Kuwait and conducted what it called self-defense strikes on the Iranian military infrastructure over the weekend.
They do have their missile capabilities restored. They are a threat. They still have some air defense capabilities, but they're a bigger threat to our allies.
President Donald Trump had sent back changes to proposed deal with Iran, officials said, insisting on tougher language about Iran's nuclear commitments and its pledge to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. In a Truth Social post, Trump claimed Iran really wants to make a deal, and it will be a good one for the USA and those that are with us. Lee Waldman, Fox 61.
A bat in North Stonington tested positive for rabies today. Leaders with the town's animal control says it was found on Anthony Road. Rabies is a deadly disease that is spread by scratches from infected animals or when infected saliva comes into contact with open wounds. Officials say you should refrain from feeding or approaching wild animals, keep your pets up to date on their rabies vaccine, and limit unsupervised time outside.
And new tonight, a former East Haven High School substitute teacher is accused of talking with a student about sex and drugs in class. Rawad Al-Hawari is charged with risk of injury to a child and disorderly conduct. The school resource officer there received the report from the student in late March. Investigators say Al-Hawari denied making such comments and was told to not return to the school. He is due in court on Friday.
A 5-year-old girl died today after state police say she fell at her home yesterday in Harwinton. Details right now are limited, but troopers say she was flown via Lifestar for what was initially reported as non-life-threatening injuries. The chief medical examiner is now looking into what caused her death. Troopers say they believe her death is not criminal, but they are still investigating.
North Haven police say a man was shot while riding a moped last night, and they say the 20-year-old is expected to recover. Officers say he was shot in the area of Whitney Avenue near the Hamden town line, but they didn't give any other specifics yet. Investigators say they will release more details as they become available.